Hi everyone, how are you today? I'm Liliana Amaro in another week of learning to sleep. Food and sleep. It's very important to recognize that the diet of the mothers and the diet of the family has a lot to do with how we sleep or how we sleep as an adult, and also how it is going to affect the children's sleep. It's very common that these days that we are at home, obviously we feel like we're eating more, and we perhaps have the snacks more reachable, and it is more easy for us to get to the fridge depending on what's happening. But it's very important as well that we keep that balance on what we're eating. Let's go on to start with the moms that are breastfeeding. The mothers that are breastfeeding obviously need to be careful on their diet, and I think this is now very well a common knowledge. I will say that, but perhaps not, because now that you are a mother, you know that whatever you eat and you're processing for your children is going to come out of the breast and is going to affect the baby. Sometimes we don't think about it because we just suddenly, after giving birth and we start producing milk, we get really hungry and we just want to eat anything. It doesn't matter what we want to eat. We're just thinking that we need to get full, but be aware that the best, the better you diet, the better your baby is going to sleep. Of course, observe your baby. If you think he's getting upset by the foods you're eating, by he's suddenly waking up through the night and you don't know why, just be aware what you eat. Maybe just have a little bit of a think about what are you having for breakfast, for example, and how are the naps, what is the night diet as well, because remember, I always think about this, that you are like a food processor, and it's going to come out of your breast and your baby is going to have the nutrients. Very important that if you decide to obviously breastfeed your baby, think about that. Is very good because all the hormones that help your baby to sleep are coming through the breast milk. There is a myth as well, I'm going to go there, the myth of that if you formula feed your baby, it's going to sleep much better and deeper. This is a myth, because obviously everything comes to the good habits of sleep. And the better you have good habits, doesn't matter what really your baby is having. If he's having a bottle or if he's having breast milk, it doesn't really matter, because the baby has a very good routine. A baby that sleeps well obviously is a baby that is fulfilled and satisfied in all the ways. Doesn't matter what is he actually having. The things that are true about babies that are formula fed is that the formula takes longer to break through the body and obviously to process for the baby, so perhaps when they are sleeping the body does all this work properly. But it's no a magic thing that if you give a formula to your baby, it's going to make him sleep longer. Hence has some side effects. It can get constipated. Your baby needs to get used to the formula. Sometimes they eat more because you can measure the amount of milk and you feed them more, so maybe it's more full. The baby is more full, so therefore it sleeps better. But I have to say there is good things about the breastfeeding, and it's much better because obviously if you feel you make sure you're filling up your baby with your breast milk, the baby will sleep so much more better than a baby that is formula fed. However, both ways are good. There is no an issue which way you're going. Just make sure your baby is fully satisfied in any way, okay? Be sure the diet that you're having, obviously if you're breastfeeding, is good. Okay, we also recommend to have a self-care. Obviously it's very important for you to nourish yourself, and because you are going to be taking care of the baby, and the better you eat, the better you sleep as well, and the better you can take care of that baby and start implementing those routines and times. Babies and children are going to self-regulate in the way they eat and they feed. We sometimes confuse feeding in demand for feeding any time that baby cries. That is not the case. We always need to be making sure that we get to know our baby, we understand the cues, and then we attend every request that baby wants, no all the time by putting the breast and making them full. Okay, this is some mistakes that the mothers make sometimes, that when we're feeding in demand we think every cry means food, but no, really. Sometimes the babies get over full or drinking too much because they are babies, like let's say the boys drink so much, not so much milk, and then suddenly they start vomiting or they start having all the food coming up, and then it wakes them up, they have more gases, they are more full. So we need to be aware what self-regulating and trying to regulate ourselves. Know how big is my baby, how many times he needs to eat. Let's think a little bit more about that, and that will help you to have a very happy baby that is going to sleep better. We also, during the first days and all through the life, we need to start observing when are the best times for our children or babies to eat and sleep. Obviously, a child that has not had a rest and has not had food is going to be a children that is more upset. So we need to make sure we start observing. Okay, we're going out to catch up with friends, to be in a play group, but when does my child needs to eat and sleep? Usually what happens here is, for us adults, getting ready and setting up appointments or times are a little bit tricky. So we always set up these appointments, or most of the times we set the appointments at times that suit us. Okay, I'm waking up, giving them food, and around 10 to 12, but we need to think that perhaps your children is not so happy with those times because he needs to eat and sleep before or after. Many times the children get asleep on the way to wherever we're going, and then they're hungry. Sometimes we try to prepare food or pack food for them, but sometimes it's not enough. Sometimes we already missed that opportunity where they really wanted to eat and sleep. So we need to be mindful. Usually when there is a group of mothers that are more aware of this system, or mothers that are second-time mothers or third-time mothers, they know much better what times suit the children, or even they prefer that the children have a little sleep in the way to the park or to the play group, or they adapt their time. Some mothers, I know, they stop going because always the children fall asleep when they are there. If you have a breastfeeding baby, it's easier for you because obviously you can give it any time and there is no problem for sleep, for feeding and sleep. If you have a children that falls asleep after eating or while breastfeeding and you're out on the road, there are tricks that you can integrate and implement for the baby to sleep better in a pram, for example. Make sure before bedtime you always give nourishing food and something that is not very sugary, something that is going to fulfill the stomach, but always give a little bit of time of digestion, okay, when the baby is awake. That's why we always stress that it's not very good to give baby food right and let them fall asleep, because they need to have they have to burp, they have to go through some digestive process, they need to go to the toilet. Everybody after eating needs to go to the toilet, especially if it's liquid. And this, what is going to happen, just think a little bit, if your baby just drink or eat, it's going to get to a point within the next 2 hours that it's going to need to put it out. Yeah, and how it's going to happen? Obviously, if the baby is asleep and has a nappy, well, it's going to wet the nappy. If the baby has start waking up, or is a little bit of older and he starts already toilet training, well, the baby or the child is going to wake up and then going to ask you to go to the toilet for this reason. So it's always a process of digestion that you need to allow. So I always said half an hour to 1 hour before bedtime is the best time to give them food. Never offer, the desserts are great, sounds like a very good, and we always think about desserts like a sugary thing, no? Like there's ice cream or cookies or hot chocolate or a piece of chocolate, something like that. Sometimes that is not the best idea, because obviously there is a lot of sugar that is going to keep the baby or the children awake more than tone it down, ready to get to bed. If you are planning hi Veronica, I say, if you have gone for that path of something sugary, even for you, integrate some warm drink, perhaps some oats or some rice milk, warm, just normal milk warm, or even offer the breast, but don't let the baby sleep straight away, because that sugar obviously stops the baby to falling asleep easy, or the children. Okay, well, if you actually need more advice on food, so you have a fussy eater, I will recommend that you look for advice. And we have a group in our clinic that when a specialist that is in charge of diets and sleep, and teach the baby to eat better as well. So dietitians are always good, pediatricians are always good, but the best is that you observe your baby, you get to know it, and then offer the best for them. Okay, thank you so much. This is one more session in learning to sleep. If you have any questions relating to food and sleep, please reach out. Please send us an email. I hope you guys taking care of yourselves now that you're in quarantine or isolation, and I see you next week for another session of Learning to Sleep. Thank you so much. I'm Liliana Amaro, Children's Sleep Coach. Bye.